The Blacksad graphic novel series is a hard-boiled noir set roughly in the 1950s America. Like the film noirs that came before, Blacksad delivers the same crime-driven narrative seen within films like Chinatown, The Maltese Falcon, Kiss Me Deadly, and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Blacksad offers a new variety in addition to the genre, a wash of beautifully detailed furriness. Film noir goes deeper than the typical pulp mysteries or crime stories at its roots. It dives into darker themes and has had a massive influence on pop culture. Filmic examples such as Sin City, Batman, Blade Runner, Seven, and even Zootopia all share elements common to film noir. But how does Blacksad, a graphic novel series, relate to film noir? Curiosity killing the cat is culturally effed. Blacksad follows the private eye for whom the series is named, John Blacksad, a tuxedo cat who usually learns a little too much about the murders he's hired to investigate. Even with his heart of gold, Blacksad never shies away from kicking tail and being a general badass. He travels all around the US, from New York to Las Vegas, New Orleans to Niagara Falls, encountering gangs, road thugs, corrupt politicians and police, the KKK, ex-Nazi nuclear physicists, jazz musicians, and a circus. Blacksad is written by Juan Diaz-Canales and illustrated by Juanjo Guarnido. They wanted to use animal people to draw stereotypes upon stereotypes, sometimes to overt character traits from species for plot. For instance, it seems to draw the conclusion that Blacksad is not only curious, but also unlucky, being a black cat. Smirnov, a police commissioner and friend of Blacksad, is a German Shepherd and a popular dog breed used for practical tasks and a favorite breed of choice for law enforcement. Blacksad's occasional sidekick is a journalist and a weasel, who has an odor problem since he doesn't bathe, and he is very slick at getting what he needs as a reporter. The first story of Blacksad plays heavily upon this trope, drawing the distinction between warm-blooded and cold-blooded species, referencing racial segregation in 1950s America and the aggression that came from it. Blacksad takes place and is about a post-World War II America. Noir evolved from the different types of films presented in the US around this time. Films with much darker contexts, such as the rise of the mafia and crime, femme fatale, bad luck, and a dark mystery to solve. Many of the plots came from pulp fiction magazines featuring hard-boiled detective stories that emerged out of the United States during the Great Depression. Film noir has a rich history of a certain type of storytelling, one that is a bit depressing. Often the central character is in a worse position at the end of the film than when the audience first meets them. Generally speaking, the storyline of a noir is often fatalistic, pessimistic, and denies the satisfaction of a happy ending. The central characters are often put into morally ambiguous, lose-lose situations where there is no correct answer. Most noirs have a certain function behind its characters and has recurring archetypes such as the detective or the femme fatale, the corrupt politician, mafia mobsters, that type of stuff. Blacksad is the dick, the private eye, the detective, and the seeker of information. This is not uncommon within film noir. Blacksad is inspired and influenced by characters like Sam Spade from The Maltese Falcon or Mike Hammer from Kiss Me Deadly. Like most central characters of noir, the morality of Blacksad becomes questionable by the end of the comic and its central themes, like the influences of taking a life in war or defense, or just flat-out murder through hate or revenge. Graphic novels and series like Blacksad differ in how they are composed. Movies have the advantage of moving pictures where comic books are static images. Guarnido directs the reader's eye to different parts of the comic, letting each image work in tandem with the whole, just like how cinematographers set up the line of sight of a scene. So to understand how these shots are composed, we must understand how a frame is positioned in reference to Blacksad and its relation to other noirs. So, spoilers ahead. Let's take a look at this page, where Blacksad is led to an anagrammed grave of a missing person. The page is separated into 4 panels, and the line of sight creates a diamond shape around the entirety of the page. Now watch the same sequence but animated. I feel that it just doesn't have the same impact as viewing the page as a whole. I'm reminded of Watchmen, which uses a similar page setup to guide your eye, distinguishing it from other media like film. This is what sets Blacksad apart from film noir, existing in its most impactful state on a page rather than animated or filmed. The first frame is an example of low-angle shots common to film noir. It's used in The Dark Knight, Touch of Evil, and Out of Past. This type of shot has been known to make the subject appear more powerful to the viewer. Sure, Blacksad is the powerful character, but what follows behind him at an evil lower angle, a statue of death itself. This frame reveals crucial themes of the series. Not only is death literally behind Blacksad, but represents it as a powerful psychological force that pushes the story forward. The next two frames have goons entering in from the sides, from the shadows and into the light. They appear from behind to represent the force of the unknown and encompassing the page and closing the diamond. The bottom frame is one of impact. Both the top and the bottom reveal the noir nature, the archetype of the doomed character, one whose future is firmly out of their control. In Red Soul, a character is missing after news that the Russians may have the plans to produce the hydrogen bomb, throwing much of the world into a frenzy, mirroring the real-life events that existed during the Cold War. These two panels produce a similar effect, deep focus, where a frame is meant to show the foreground, middle ground, and background with intense detail. Not only does it show the subject of the shot, but its relation to the story world. The top panel sets the rest of the page up with Blacksad and Smirnoff standing on a balcony, wondering where a crucial missing character is. This panel uses deep focus to convey that Otto could literally be anywhere within the city. And this last panel shows this technique of deep focus as well, showing Otto in the center of the last panel. He walks the streets, horrified, afraid, and unfamiliar. The colors themselves are opposite to the first panel, from cold to warm. Another key frame was in the center of this page, the close-up. Now, this type of shot has a rich history. Perhaps the most notorious, although not necessarily noir, was The Passion of Joan of Arc. Nowadays, the close-up is so commonplace within popular cinema and TV, yet film noir presents its audience with a particular taste common to noir, from horror and revelation. In short, if there is a close-up in film noir, prepare to be sad. This type of shot is common in Drive, Sunset Boulevard, The Maltese Falcon, The Third Man, and practically every movie ever. All noirs have typical tropes. Most commonly touted and most essential to noir is playing with light and especially shadows. Film noir literally means black film. Many of the frames that take place in Blacksad either have high contrast in color or high contrast in light. Shadows are used early on in the series. The first issue is literally titled Somewhere Within the Shadows, and quickly uses shadows and stark contrast from the brighter, more colorful first few pages. In a classic film noir frame, a character is revealed through the shadows themselves. This kind of non-reveal is rather common in film noir, such as The Third Man or The Man Who Wasn't There, or The Third Man Who Wasn't There. Another way to do this is to eliminate certain parts of the frame to focus on a specific element. This frame shows Leon's death in a lone circle showing his demise, leaving the rest of the frame coated in black. Again, it's about directing the eye on the page in the same way cinematographers direct your eye on the screen. Yet, within Blacksad, it is important to note that even though it's all incredibly painted in watercolor and fine detail, almost all the scenes are like these deep focused shots. Very few are lacking light and everything is within focus. So instead, we will look at the contrast of color. In Red Soul, Otto makes a series of admissions that give insight to his story and his tragic mistakes, yet the color is spectacularly rich. Most noirs have striking images from what is lit to what is not lit. Notice Otto's eyes, orange compared to the light blue in the scene, with the bright colors of the fish inside the tank behind him. The colors are almost exclusively used within the tank. They're colorful and have the same orange as Otto's eyes, giving the impression of how he sees the world. He gives insight into the natural world. He is connected, but outside the pale blue, sad world. The world of Blacksad is as noir gets. Despite its colorful artwork, it shows a dark and gritty universe in which the law can only reach so far and justice often needs to be brought on by the people in the narrative. It's the adult, bloody, and violent antidote to the sugary cuteness of, say, Zootopia, which also technically qualifies as a film noir. Like Blacksad, Zootopia plays with color, contrast, and shadows, and touches on heavier themes for a children's film like race, drugs, politics, and rabbit overpopulation. Blacksad instead takes place in a very real America. Blacksad's world is what we at Culturally Eft call a level 5 anthropomorphism, which we discussed in an earlier episode of Culturally Eft. The animal people here are really only wearing masks of an otherwise human counterparts. You could swap the characters with humans, and nothing really changes about the universe. Note that no one in Blacksad has a tail.
In the key of C, the C is not only the key, but it's the initial of the cat who's going to tip and whisper. This is the tipping and whispering.
In short, Blacksad is one of the best comics on the market today, furry or otherwise. We're looking forward to see how this series progresses and other properties that it's inspiring, like the video game that was announced a few months ago and the movie rights that were bought up back when the first issues were hitting French and Spanish comic shops. Let us know what you guys think down in the comments. Do you guys disagree with me that Zootopia is a noir or neo-noir? Is Blacksad a great comic book or the greatest comic book? Post your thoughts down in the comments and Rusty will respond to some of them in the next Eft update. Be sure to check out our Patreon page for our all-new rewards, including custom video by Rusty, or personal artwork by Underbite, or maybe you just want to hang out with us as we live stream our art and editing processes. I have been your host, Arrkay. Thanks for watching.
I hope you guys fancied that episode. I'm all fancied up, but that doesn't mean I have to wear pants because I'm a rabbit. If you like Culturally Eft, share, like, and most importantly, subscribe. Ding that little bell. Support for Culturally Eft comes from our Patreon subscribers. Check out our website, culturallyeft.com. Consider buying one of our t-shirts and signing up for our monthly newsletter. If you do any or all of these things or follow us on social media, you will never miss another episode of Culturally Eft again. That's a Rusty guarantee. If you excuse me, I've been your host, Rusty Shacklefur, tipping up my hat to all you subscribers out there. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video, guys.